Here's a shovel in case you get stuck. Just cut it off and start digging your way out. Dude, the rally doesn't stop. Like if you can,
the rally doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. Force majeure is whatever happens, happens, and you just gotta get to the finish, basically. For sure. This is my second office.
How much do you think the car weighs since you added the roll bar and all that stuff?
It probably weighs the same. Like out of all the stuff that I took out and the weight that I put back in, it's probably like 2,600 pounds. I haven't weighed it, but still pulls like a champ.
That is fun, man.
Yeah, everything. You got everything. You got blinkers. You got the hazards. You got the horn. Like, dude, you have to have it in order to race. This has to be a street legal car.
Alright everyone, welcome back to Automotive Anatomy. Today we have Alex. Alex, thank you so much for making some time for us, man. This is going to be such a rad project, rad story, and definitely different from what we have in the channel, and so that's why I'm really excited about it. Thank you so much for making time for us, man.
No
what
worries.
do you drive?
So this is a 2005 Acura RSX Type S, so DC5.
A DC5. And before we get into the build, tell me a little bit about your YouTube channel. What's the name of it and what can we expect from it?
So the YouTube channel is O Shift Rally Team. It's me and another guy. We started rallying together at the same time. And what we have is a bunch of videos on the building of this car. So from day one when I got it, when it was stock, to what it was like to go rally crossing, what it's like to go to stage rally, and then just like some helpful tips along the way, like what tools I use, what tools I bring, and all that kind of stuff. So just a lot of information on how to get racing, and more specifically how to rally. So
nice. So then let's bring it back to the Acura RSX. Why the RSX? How did that come about?
So when I decided I wanted to start rallying, I was looking at chassis, and obviously the number one choice is Subaru, right? And I've had a couple Subarus. I had like an 08 STI, a Bug-Eye 2002 WRX, and I wasn't too happy about the motor and the way everything's set up with all-wheel drive. Really expensive if you want to race because you have 4 shafts and 3 diffs and all kinds of stuff. So I knew I wanted to do front-wheel drive, and a lot of people don't know is front-wheel drive is faster than rear-wheel drive and is actually pretty good in the dirt. As long as you have like an LSD, front-wheel drives do really well in the dirt with some left foot braking. So I knew I wanted front-wheel drive, and then I wanted a car that was probably like 10 to 15 years old so I could get it in the junkyard. If something comes, I need a fender, I need a door, I need a window, I just go to the junkyard and get some parts. So I wanted something a little bit newer, so that's why I didn't go with like a Civic hatch or anything. But then racing, you need reliability. So you need something that'll take a beating, have decent power, and then that's where I landed on Honda, right? You want something that has a lot of aftermarket parts, a lot of documented knowledge. So then I started looking at Honda chassis. I looked at the EP3. One of the things that turned me off about the EP3 was the shift handle, how it's like in the dash. And then that K20 doesn't make as much power as the Type S's. So I started to look at Type S's. My brother had one. I know the people hate on them a lot because they have a lot of torque steer, and like the way the rack is with the tie rods is a little weird.
Not the best geometry. Yeah.
Not the best geometry. But with the Z1, which is what you get in the 0506, you get 210 crank horsepower. K is the way right now, man. Like Ks are crazy popular, and for a good reason. Like these things take a beating and they keep going. So a lot of parts for it, a lot of documentation for it. It just made sense to me. It's a Honda. Good motor, lots of parts, and actually they race these in Europe a little bit because EP3 and even like the elements have similar control arms, bushings, all that stuff. So you can get those parts from Europe if you want like gravel coilovers, gravel specific parts for your car. So I knew there was at least a rally kit for it. So that's how I landed on the RSX.
So let's get started. Tell us about the front end. What do we got going on?
So in the front end, the entire drivetrain is stock because the class I race, you can't really do any modifications. So I even have the stock airbox because it helps keep dust out a little bit better than like a short ram or whatever, cold air. So engine, completely stock. The only thing I have with that is the LSD. I got a WaveTrack LSD and the 6-speed transmission. 6-speed transmission, stock gear ratios, stock final drive, everything stock on that. Axles are stock as well. Control arms are stock.
Really?
Everything. This is as stock as you can get, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Other like reinforced.
So sorry, let me cut you off there. So there is reinforcements for like the pickup points, but the pickup points themselves are all stock. There's nothing that's like that I've changed. It's all just adding metal, and you can. That's like one within the rules is you can add as much metal as you want to make stuff stronger, to do whatever you want, but you can't change the geometry for the class that I race in. So.
Oh, okay.
But one thing that catches a lot of people off too is that you don't want poly mounts. You don't want poly mounts for any of your suspension. So these are all just OEM Honda rubber.
And tell us why you don't want that.
Because it'll be too rigid and it'll put too much impact into the pickup points, and you'll end up breaking like your subframe. You'll start breaking your control arms, and it's better to have that play. And sure, it's rally and you'll change your bushings every year or so, but it's better than destroying the car, right? So.
Right. You want to finish the competition. Okay.
Right.
So then tell us about the livery. How did you go about choosing this livery?
Honestly, we wanted something that stood out. We got a handful of sponsors and we wanted something that's kind of catch people's eye. Like, this is a Honda, it's an RSX. Most people don't expect this to be like a rally car. So it's like, well, let's kind of make it a little bit more lively and let's make it pop a little bit. So that's how we got with this is like a prototype camo. So this is what they put on cars they're developing. Like any big OEM will put this on a car and you'll see it racing around the Nürburgring with some variant of a camo, so you can't see the lines all that well. So that's what this is based off of. I've worked in automotive before, so I'm pretty familiar with this type of livery.
And that's just your YouTube channel and other sponsors.
Yeah, so that's a YouTube channel, a couple sponsors, and then we picked a couple colors like this blue. It's on the wheels, it's on the roof scoop, it's on the hood latches, just to break it up a little bit. Because if you wrap the whole car in prototype camo, it kind of just looks weird. So the hood and the trunk are wrapped in the gray. So
definitely. So then tell us, what suspension are you running?
So I'm running Yellow Speed Racing. They have coilover kits for a bunch of cars, and they actually made one for this car. It's a two-way with external reservoirs in the front and the rear. It gives me about 2 or 3 inches of a raise in the front and about 2 in the back, and then it also gives me another like 3 or 4 inches of droop. So when the car jumps, the wheels will droop pretty far down, and when you land, it'll suck up all that momentum. So
nice. Speaking of wheels, what kind of wheels and specs and tires?
All right, so wheels, these are the Method 501 VT specs. So these aren't your standard 501s. They make a street version and a rally version. These are the race versions. These only come, I believe, in 15x7s, which is okay because all gravel tires come in 15-inch wheels. This is a G10, a Federal G10 gravel rally tire. This is a very specific tire for rallying. One of the biggest differences is that instead of having the steel bands where the tread is, the steel band is actually in the side, because you spend a lot of time sideways and you don't want to rock to puncture this and end your day. So this is actually really soft up here.
What?
And it's really stiff here. So if you have a flat, it doesn't really look like it because it only sags a little bit because of the sidewalls. So it's really strong sidewall, really strong lips. This is like a super reinforced wheel. Method did a really good job with these. These are the 501s, but Subaru races the 502s from the same series. So a lot of performance from these wheels already.
There was some science put in behind that.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
And
freaking awesome, man.
probably the biggest thing on the outside, like I said, it's all stock, but the underbody protection is also a huge part of rallying. So you can see there's some plastic here. This plastic actually covers the whole underside of the car. So I had to go in and weld in mounting points for this to where I could just bolt up all this plastic. And in the front, there's a 1/4-inch aluminum skid plate. In the rear for the gas tank, it has a Kevlar skid guard. So I dropped the tank and had somebody fab up a custom Kevlar skid guard, and then I just held it up with the standard tank straps. So other than that, the bottom, the car, the exterior, everything is stock.
Wow.
Stock fenders, stock bumpers, even though the bumper's taking a beating, but So probably the last exterior thing is a roof scoop, and a lot of people have misconceptions about roof scoops, and they say that, oh, it's for ventilation for the crew in the car, and that's partially true, and that's like its secondary purpose, but the primary purpose for a roof scoop is to keep the dust out of the cabin. So you can't ever, or you don't even want to completely seal the cabin off to where no dust can get in. So what the roof scoop will do is when the air's coming in, it pushes out air through those little gaps, so the dust won't want to come in. So if you don't have a roof scoop, you'll get a lot of dust in the cabin, and it gets hard to breathe. It's happened to me before I had it, so it definitely works. So functional.
Love that. Well, speaking of functional, if you don't mind opening up your door, sure. And then yeah, so you mentioned you're able to add more weight, more metal, and you definitely have. Tell us a little about starting from the doors, and then walk through this amazing piece of art that you call the cockpit.
So rally is very specific in terms of motorsports because the car has to be 100% road legal still. So this car is still smogged, believe it or not. I still have tags. It's legal to drive on the road, and that also goes to the doors. You can't cut out any weight of the doors. You can't cut any braces, anything. So because I have a cage, all I did was remove the stock door card and then just bolt up a piece of plastic, and that's my door card. You want pockets for random papers. These are the documents for racing. There's like the logbook. I got snacks in here because we're driving a lot and we don't have time for food. Tire pressure gauge, just like any essentials I might need for the race.
All right, so let's start with the interior, or lack of. What do we got going on?
Okay, so this is a custom built cage from Imagine Garage. It's Rome Charpentier or Carpentier, depending on who you ask, but he's a FD pro drifter, and he hooked it up with the cage. And then inside, like you can see, completely stripped, Sparco safety gear, so seats and harnesses, and then just a lot of custom fab. A lot of custom fab, and a lot of it has to do with rules. So you need, like, the window switches need to be in a place where both the driver and co-driver can get them in case there's a rollover. Yeah. And then as a backup, we also have like the glass breakers in the back. So both of us sitting down can grab each of one of those glass breakers, cut the belt, and then break the glass. So
no way.
there's like redundancies in case something happens and somebody can't get out. So
that's cool.
A lot of safety stuff. Let's see. So the dash itself is flocked, which is what a lot of people do in rallies, so that way you don't get a big glare coming off of the dash.
I thought it was just for weight purposes.
No, it's functional too. Everything in here is more or less functional, done for a reason. Even these I know they look good, but these carbon fiber bar protectors are, because you get in and out and you usually kick the cage pretty good, and it just protects it from chips a little bit better. But everything is functional, including these harness pads. You need those to race. Those are required by a lot of the sanctioning bodies. But yeah, it's literally stripped down. The harness is completely stock as well. A lot of people like to rip out the harness and be like, oh, I want to build like a racing harness. And it's like, people don't realize how many circuits you can use from it. So all my lights, I don't know if you can see this LED light back here. There's also map lights here. Like you can see this here, this LED strip. That's all wired into the stock wire harness. So I didn't have to add anything. I just had to put a switch and I can turn on lights in my car, and it's still a little functional. You open the door, the lights turn on. So, and same thing with the hatch in the rear.
Wow.
I got a place for my cell phone, so that way I can text people while I'm driving.
While you're racing?
While I'm racing. No, that cell phone does the GPS tracking for like the speed data and all that. And then next to that fuse box, I have push buttons for different things like the comms, for the auxiliary, so I can charge the tablets and the phone. And then I have my light bar, and then just like a general override. If for some reason the car doesn't want to start, I can at least draw power directly from the battery and have comms and have lights and have my stuff charging. So,
gotcha.
And then of course the master kill switch, because you have to have that.
Okay. What do you need the tablet for?
So if you want to go around the other side.
This is freaking cool, dude. Love it.
Oh. Put that there. I actually want to show you this thing too. So this is like the business end of the car. This is where the co-driver does a lot of work to make sure we stay on the road and we get where we're going on time, or early if we can, if it's a stage. So Sarah Fries is my current co-driver, and this is where she sits. And I actually added this for people who think rallying's not scary. It's a little sketchy when you're going 100 miles an hour down the dirt. But so because you have a co-driver, they have to know where you're going, and they want to know how far you've traveled. So both of these are rally computers. You can do timing checkpoints with them, and it's also doubles up as an odometer. So you have odometers on both of these. You have a really good GPS receiver mounted here. It's just the Garmin Glow. It's like $100 on eBay. All this stuff is just regular electronics that we put in the car. There's a rally app that we use, and it'll track how far you traveled, how long until your next checkpoint. It'll track your stage times. It'll track a bunch of stuff. These can even do GPS, but I rather do it on my phone, like for telemetry and stuff, how fast you're going. But I rather do it on my phone. So this is a backup. This is just a straight odometer, and this is odometer with a timer. So this is all the stuff she uses. She has all her pens and her signs and all her map light here too. So if we were racing in the dark in Nevada, so she used this a lot. But yeah, this is where all the business happens, and where you can literally fly off the road if that person in that right seat is not the right person.
So maybe a little bit more important than the driver at times?
Yep, definitely as important as a driver, at least all the time.
Interesting.
So, and then we got the GoPro mounts. So we got 3 GoPro mounts, one that looks inside, one that looks outside, and then one that looks at the whole cabin while we're driving, so you can see if we're beating each other up in the cab or something.
And that sign right there, in case of an accident, she can just pull it out and shows? Okay.
Yep. So these are okay signs. We actually have a couple of them. This is one that's like reflective. So if you crash, you just show this. If you're okay, nothing happened, the car just broke or something. But if something happened to where somebody needs to get like emergency right away, like a helicopter or an ambulance, you show the red cross, and that actually stops the whole stage to where everyone just stops racing. And this is like if somebody's like life or death situation, like somebody has a limb cut off, or somebody's stuck in a cage that's rolled upside down.
God.
And heaven forbid that happens, but it does happen. This is racing, and it's a dangerous sport. But and we're reminded of that every time we go racing, because stuff happens.
That is nuts. A rally is not a joke, man. It's crazy.
Yep.
Awesome, dude. Let's talk engine.
Well, actually, if we want to do the interior, but so this stuff is really specific to rally, which is so you have your helmet, the Hans. The helmet hammock just helps you put your stuff somewhere. I have my battery back there for weight distribution. So here we have some safety triangles. Every time you stop on course, you have to put triangles out. Here's a shovel in case you get stuck. Just cut it off and start digging your way out. Dude, the rally doesn't stop. Like if you can,
the rally doesn't stop.
Doesn't stop. Force majeure is whatever happens, and you just gotta get to the finish, basically.
That's so cool.
And you got the fire extinguishers. So here's the cooler for the cool shirt. Like I said, we race in the desert. It's really hot in here. There's no AC. So there's a hose that runs from here to our racing suits, and it keeps us cool.
Really?
Spare tire, which is absolutely necessary. Some people even run 2.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because if you have a puncture, you lose so much time. You'll lose like minutes.
And you guys are responsible to switch the tire?
Oh yeah.
And go, okay.
So if we're on a stage and we get a puncture, we pull over as best we can to get out of the way. We put out a triangle, we put out an okay sign, and we start busting the stuff out.
Oh, that's so cool.
So you have the jack here. So you'll take out the jack. You have the impact in here. So you'll bust out the impact. I welded a little nut on here, so you can just raise the car just with the drill.
Oh.
And then once the car's up in the air, you can start zipping off the nuts. Somebody takes the wheel out, somebody takes a wheel off, throws a new wheel on, somebody's putting the other wheel back. It's a team effort. And then we got this just in case. In case the drill dies, or in case it can't knock it off or something. We got some manual tools. And then they make you take a first aid kit. They make you take a spill kit in case you have a broken oil pan or something and you're dropping oil all over the place. And then you have a crash bag, which is a bag full of goodies, drinks, in case you crash and you can't get out for like 2 or 3 hours. You definitely want to have something to drink and something to eat. So, I mean, sometimes you get in a spot where they really can't get to you until after the race. But yeah, this is all really specific stuff for rally.
Super needed.
Yep, for sure, 100%. And then this is the toolkit. This has like screwdrivers, couple ratchets, couple things to work on the car really quick if I need to in an emergency.
You're probably the safest car to be around with in the street if we need something.
Yeah, for sure.
So look for him in case you need help. Just wave him down.
I don't always have this stuff in the car, but we just the car literally just got off the trailer from Nevada to come here. So
that is amazing. I love that. Thank you for sharing all this, man.
Yeah,
this
for
is
sure.
amazing. Ooh.
And then you can see the coilovers. This is where you do the adjustments for the. I think that's the rebound. The yellow speed coilovers. Reservoirs are underneath. But yeah, we can go to them. We can go to the engine next.
Wow, so many different modifications.
It took probably like 6 months to get the cage in and get everything fabbed in to where it was race ready. It took a while. So these are required. So in case there's a fire, anyone can open up your hood and start extinguishing the fire. So you should have these hood pins. But like I said, stock, like nothing fancy here. I did wrap the exhaust. I did put a lot of heat shielding on different parts. I don't know if you know K-Series or not, but you have the exhaust right up against the steering rack, and it was designed that way, sure, but it's only a matter of time where you start baking the oil and the grease inside that steering rack. This is actually the second steering rack I have for this car because these racks aren't the best, but that's a topic for another day.
On their defense, they didn't build it for rally.
True, but everyone knows if you can upgrade to the EP3 electronic power steering on these guys. But I have to stay within the rules, so that's what I got right now. Here are the external reservoirs for the
coilovers.
For the coilovers. This is bounce, I believe, rebounds on the shock itself, maybe the other way around. One cool thing that is rally specific in here is these reinforcement plates. So this is 3/16 steel that's welded on top of the stock top hat mount.
Tower?
Yep, the stock tower for the strut. And this is so when you hit a bump, the shock doesn't just shoot up through the tower and through your hood. I've seen some old Hondas that have these that are all cracked, so you guys know what I'm talking about if you're Honda guys. But yeah, stock motor. I have a little surprise for you. I want to show you in a little bit, but I did drop the motor, all new seals, all new gaskets. I think I got to replace a hose there, but it's leaking a little oil. You can see the skid plate through here. You can't see the floor. Battery's obviously gone, so you can see all the way down there, but I know I mentioned before that you wanted rubber suspension mounts, but for the engine, you want to get as solid as you can. I didn't have the balls to go too solid because that means you really start breaking stuff if stuff isn't really reinforced. So these are just like 85 durometer innovative mounts. Nothing fancy though. This is all stuff from K-Series. Like it's not this stock injectors, stock coil packs, stock airbox. Oh, Mishimoto aluminum radiator. That's a must because when you rally, you get a lot of vibrations, and I've seen the plastic necks break off of the radiators, and then you lose all your coolant.
So they let you mess with that?
Yeah, there's some stuff, as long as like an OEM replacement, they'll let you swap it out.
What about fuel?
Fuel just runs 91, yeah. Okay. There's no tune, stock ECU. Like I said, 210 from the crank from the factory, so I really don't want to mess with that.
How many miles does it have right now?
That's what I wanted to, that's the surprise I wanted to show you. Like I said, K is the way, and there's no, the proof is in the pudding, if you want to say. I want to get let you get that on your own.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I still race with this motor. This is the original motor, hasn't been rebuilt. Almost 215,000 miles on this motor.
Beating on it.
8K shifts. It doesn't care. It doesn't complain. And it doesn't blow smoke, knock on wood, but I mean, it's racing. If it goes, it goes. But I bought this car with 200,000 miles. I put 15,000 miles on it. A lot of driving, a lot of racing, and it just keeps going. So K is definitely the way for reliability and any project car you can imagine. So
that's awesome, dude.
So yeah, I'm super in love with this motor. Like the more I drive it, the more I love it. The sound is just intoxicating, man. That K-Series sound. It has a aftermarket muffler, because I have to keep the stock cat obviously to be street legal, and I have to have a muffler, so I can't straight pipe it, but it still sounds pretty good.
So that's probably the hardest thing, is trying to go as fast as you can without risking too much, because what they say, it's really hard to find your 100%, like flat out as fast as you can drive, because you really want to be racing at like 85-90%. You rarely want to be at 100%, unless you're neck and neck and there's like a driver who's like you're trading stages, like, but most of the time you want to keep it at like 90%.
Or you're Travis Pastrana and David Higgins.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They always drive it like 95, maybe 100%, but you rarely want to be at 100%, because that leaves little room for error. That means you have to get every corner.
You gotta go back to work on Monday.
Yeah. And if I break the car, I gotta
that's
build a new car.
right. You gotta pay for it too.
Yeah.
You can't just send that off to the shop. Gotcha.
That's the hardest thing, is just trying to keep on the road but go fast in a car that I built and paid for, because I want to be competitive. So
Future plans, ideally, in an ideal world where I was made of money, I would do the hybrid K24, K20 build, get a little bit more horsepower out of it, keep it naturally aspirated for a while. I don't have like a timeline when I want to do that, but that's something I'm definitely looking into. And then the ultimate goal is to do the hybrid build with a turbo and the all-wheel drive system from Honda that you can get out of the CRVs and the Elements. So that's the ultimate plan, is to beat Subarus in the all-wheel drive game.
All right, Alex. Well, thank you so much, man, for making the time for us. Keep at it. Keep putting Honda on the map in the rally world. Cannot wait till you do all those plans that you mentioned. You're gonna kick even more ass, man. So, any shout outs to finish it off, man?
Definitely shout outs to Method, shout out to Federal, Magin Garage, PPC Powder Coating out in San Bernardino, Zip Tie Racing, Yellow Speed Coilovers. Like, we have a lot of support, luckily. Makes it a lot easier to race. Let's see. Oh, Next Gen Hans device, they keep us safe. Yeah, just shout out to everyone who supports us, people who go on the YouTube channel, comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Instagram as well, we're on there. And honestly, like, we're not looking to do anything crazy. We just want to share racing with people, you know, like, racing in the dirt's super fun. And if you want to do it even just a little bit, just like look up Rallycross, man, and just go drive. You can take anything you want. There's like stock Sentras, there's BRZs, there's, like I said, BMWs, Miatas, even base D series Hondas are out there mobbing around. So any kind of, even if it's not rally, just go race. Just get out there. If you want to do it even just a little bit, there's either autocross, rallycross, or even just go take pictures. Just get involved, man. It's all about the journey. If anything we've learned from 2012 or the last year, it's life short, man. If you want to do something, just go do it and enjoy it. Like, screw what the haters say. Who cares what anyone else says? If you're having fun, if you really want to do it, there's no time like the present. And that's exactly why I built this thing, the way I wanted to build it. So
hell yeah, man. I love that. I love the energy. Love the fact that you chose an RSX. Keep building up on the RSX. And again, thank you once again, man, for making the time for us.
yeah, no
I really
problem.
appreciate it, Alex.
For sure.